Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at Grifters Nexus. This is a game that is designed by Jake Tlapek and David Fulton, put out by Indie Boards and Cards. And it is basically a hand management game where you are trying to complete different jobs, go out on different capers. The whole point of the game is to score as much money as possible. Whoever has the most money, including bonuses from completed jobs and so forth, is going to be the winner. Let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works. We'll come back with some final thoughts after that. Let's get to it. So here I have a 3-player game of Grifters Nexus set up for you. You have the jobs that are out here in the pyramid form, and those are set up in a very specific way. Each player will have a hand of 6 cards, 3 of which are going to be ringleaders. Everybody starts with these 3 cards. Then you also get 3 random ones dealt to you from the deck. And then everybody also starts with 3 ISK tokens, which is the currency of the game. And then once everybody's there, you pick a random person to go first, and they start carrying out their actions. Each action takes place in 3 different phases. You advance time, where you will take specialists that have been placed in your night 1 spot and move them to night 2. Anything in night 2 moves to night 3, and anything that is in night 3 will move to the refresh area, which is over here. And then at the end of your turn, these cards that are in the refresh area will come back up into your hand, thus ending your turn. Now, the crux of the game plays in the play specialists phase, which happens next. And that's where you're going to be taking specialists from your hand and playing them down into your hideout right here. You can either play them down singly. In other words, they are performing their own caper. You simply just do whatever the card says. Or you can play them down in a team, which when you put them together, you're going to be finishing a job that is out here and available. So I played 3 bronze here, and I want to put the pickpocket on top. So if I do that, I'm going to finish this job right here, which becomes part of my tableau. And then, since I completed this job, I get to resolve the action of my job leader. And I made the pickpocket my job leader, which means that I steal 2 million ISK from an opponent's stash, which means that then I'll take 2 of these tokens and add them to my own like that. Now, in order to complete a job, it has to be available. Right now, there are only 3 available jobs that are out there. So the lift banking blueprints, the extort corrupt politician, and break protest rally, those are all available because they don't have any cards that are covering up them in any way. So when it comes back to my turn, I don't have the right kinds of specialists to do any of these available jobs. So I'm just going to play a card out of my hand as a caper and carry out what that one card says. So I'm going to play the mastermind here, and he says to draw 3 specialists, and I can keep 1 and discard the others, like this. So then it comes back around to my turn, and this will advance to my refresh. These will advance up to night 2 and 3. We're going to guess a skill type and discard the top card of the deck. If that card matches the skill type, you can steal 4,000 from, 4 million from the coffers. If not, you get to take that specialist card in your hand. So I'm going to choose Brawn, which is red. And it's not, it's green, so this card comes up into my hand, and that is my caper phase. These cards that were in my refresh pile come up into my hand like so, and that's the end of my turn. And that's how the game continues to progress as players are gathering these things. Now, the game's going to end when one of the following 3 things happens. Either the specialist deck runs out, or the number of ISK tokens, that is for the number of players in the game, there are no more left here. That will immediately end the game. Or if all of these jobs have been taken or completed, that will end the game as well. And the game ends immediately. Then you count up how many ISK tokens you get. You also get a number of bonus points for completed jobs. And it's shown right here. So if you have 2 of a completed If you have 2 completed jobs of a certain color, you get a bonus 2 ISK tokens. If you have 3 of a color completed, then you get a bonus of 4. If you have 4, you get a bonus of 8, and then anything over 4 is a bonus 4. So that's where you're going to be getting a lot of your points, but you also get points from your ISK tokens as well. And whoever has the most ISK at the end of the game is the winner. So that's about that for Grifters Nexus. Now, one thing I do want to make sure that I mention here is that this is a standalone game that can be taken and added to a base game of Grifters if you want to do that. But this is a standalone game in and of itself, and so I'm taking it as that from that aspect of it being its own game, and I'm reviewing it based solely upon that. I did not play it with the base game. I've never played the original game, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't done that. So I'm not going to speak to that. I am just going to treat this as a regular game in and of itself. So with all that being said, it has that hand management aspect to it where you're taking your specialists into your hand, trying to complete different jobs, going off and doing your own little caper here and there to try to get more cards, more money from your opponents, more money from the coffers. So there is all of that going on for it. Whoever has the most money wins. And so that's the basic gist of it. Let's go ahead and get to my pros and cons. My first pro of the game is quite simply that it plays very easily. The rounds do not take a lot of time at all, each player's turn that is, and so downtime is virtually non-existent. You are basically wanting to pay attention to what everybody does so that you can possibly maybe hate draft some of the jobs that you know are going to really help them out later on down the road. And so you are really needing to pay attention. There is very, very, very little downtime in this game, and I like that a lot. Turns go very quickly, which translates to very little downtime. The only time you run into any of that kind of downtime is if somebody is just not deciding what they need to do on their particular turn. We didn't have that problem when we were playtesting it, so it is a very quick game to play, very simple rules, and I like that a lot. The second pro that I had for the game is that there is a lot of diversity in the abilities of each of the different cards. You didn't feel like this guy lets you do basically what that guy does with a little bit of a twist on it. Now, each card or each kind of card really does have a different feel to it as far as the power that you're able to enable with playing that card. And I like it when that happens because it really does give you the ability to do something different than what everybody else is doing. Yeah, there's going to be times where you're going to do what somebody else did because it's a good thing to do, but you're also going to be able to pull off your own little capers here and there that feel completely different to everybody else's and what everybody else is doing. And so I like that. It's not a variable player powers thing. It's not anything like that, but it still gives you some individuality from everybody else. And I like when games allow you to do that. You just don't feel like some plain Jane grifter. you are your own person, so to speak, and you can do your own thing within the game. So that's very cool, the diversity of powers within the different players' actions. My last pro for the game is that everything is pretty much open. How much money you have is open, the kind of jobs that you've completed are open, knowledge as far as that's concerned. And so that kind of levels the playing field. It doesn't turn the game into a memory-esque kind of game where you have to remember what jobs that certain person has completed to know how they're doing in the game. Some people are really good at that. Other people are not very good at that. So that's kind of a leveling the playing field, so to speak. And so I like it that there's more information out there than is readily available. So I did like that. I thought that was a good thing. Now, as far as cons are concerned for the game, my first con is that it does have a pretty high luck of the draw aspect to it. Now, the kinds of jobs that come out is going to be different from game to game because you don't use all of the jobs in every single game. So that is going to be differentiated. Now, but how you're able to complete those jobs relies heavily upon having the right kinds of cards in your hands at the right time. So there is a luck of the draw aspect to it. Towards the end of the game, if you've done well in the other parts of the game, then you're going to have a little bit more freedom to pick and choose which jobs you're going to go after. But if you were a little bit stymied by bad luck of the draw and the earlier parts of the game, well, you might have a little bit more difficulty because some of those later late game jobs cost a lot of cards, and more often than not, they really need one specific heavy and then just a little bit of help from the other ones. So luck of the draw is definitely here, and some people will say that that's a bad thing. I can see where that's happening. However, with some savvy players, more often than not, you're going to have pretty close games. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give Grifters Nexus a 6 out of 10. I did enjoy the game. I don't know how much I'll want to play it again, but I wouldn't be hurt or disgruntled if it does come back to the table because I do enjoy the game and I think it's a good filler game. It falls within that category for me, ranging between about 20, 25, 30 minutes. And I think it does well in that role. I don't think I'll always want to play it, but if it does reach the table again, I won't be unhappy about it. It is good, 6 out of 10, that's that. So thanks so much for joining me. I do appreciate it, you taking time out of your day to do so. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.